I have two questions. They're not necessarily related, but I want you to look at them, if possible, in related fashion. Barring the couple of years in Western Crompton, or 3-4 years, you've been what is called an L&T lifer. People use the word lifer in several ways, but you spent all your working life until today in L&T. These days, youngsters, after they complete a year, maybe 2 years, are updating the series. What do you think has caused that change? No long-term commitment to an organization. Just a question of where do I get a little more money, or are they looking for a little more satisfaction? They're looking for bigger challenges, because you stayed, several of your contemporaries joined the company and stayed for many years, decades. And my other question is, and I mean this with great respect to the person that I have in mind, you grew up professionally under a banyan tree. What was it like growing up under a banyan tree and yet being able to establish yourself as an individual, as a business leader of your own?
Very interesting question, sir. Especially the first question. We constantly deal with that issue on a daily basis because talent retention has become very, very important. And we are only as good as our teams. And it is very important to surround ourselves with people who have better capability than ourselves to make sure that we are able to deliver to the stated cause. I think in comparison to the days when I decided to drop anchor in L&T, I think the opportunity spectrums have widened considerably to people today. Those days, I think the hierarchy was very clear. If you are smart, you will go to civil services. If you are a little less smart, you will work possibly in a bank or an insurance company through the probationary officer's route. And the rest used to go to private sector. And within private sector, we had the categorization of Hindustan Levers of those days and the Cadbury's, and then possibly the rest in some order. But today, I think if much of the youngsters have a much shorter shelf life, it is a function of the opportunities that beckons them today. It's also possibly a generational thing that we were willing to play a 5-day test. We believed that if you are in the right platform, possibly the returns would come in due course. And we were always taught to believe that give importance to the role and the function. And the rest of the additives will find its way, be it a designation, a car, or a position, or a cabin with a secretary. All that we were told will follow. So we were of that mindset that we have to first invest to reap the benefits. Today is a bit of an instant gratification, especially you would have seen with interest the kind of valuations that loss-making, cash-guzzling startups today enjoy. And I think I'm connecting that to the question about people, because why would somebody pay 50 times the earnings, 60 times the earnings, 100 times the earnings to a startup to take a share, a part of the equity of that company? So I think today the benefits seem to outrun the results. And I think there's a lot of leap of faith that is happening, and that's the same thing that is getting carried to individuals when they make their decision to switch. Because of that opportunity pie having been enlarged, and today it's not only Indian opportunity, it is global opportunity. And to that extent, I think the IT world has put Indian talent on the global map. And I think all of us are very thankful for that industry to have evolved the way it has and given a lot of respectability to Indian professionals and the capabilities of people. So my thinking is, I think people today stay far lesser in organizations because they have alternate options, which is paying obviously better. So there's no need. And some of the candidates have argued with me that the money that you make or the career that you grow in one place over 25 years. Another model, very viable model, is spend in 5 places at 5 years apiece and keep aggregating. But it's I guess, a question of philosophy. I somehow believe that it always pays to create value by staying stable. But it's a classic case of T20 cricket versus Test match cricket, sir. So I guess both will coexist, and we will continue to find people, and we still do in our company. I have people who work for long years. I have people whom I have recruited who are completing 15 years, 17 years, etc. Except that we might have to have the engine more robust because we have to recruit 100 people to retain 40 people. Earlier, it was enough to recruit 50 people or 60 people to retain 40 people. So I think to that extent, the processes have got readjusted. On the other part of growing in an organizations under the tutelage of stalwarts, I think the adage is nothing grows under the banyan tree. But I think I have seen around people in L&T actually disprove that adage, and I think many careers have blossomed under stalwarts of leaders in L&T. And I am also aware that there are a lot of people who worked with you, under your mentorship, have so many good things to say about you, and they've grown under you. So I guess it is possible that under very well-meant, purposeful leadership, people can find their own ground. I think the importance here is the ability of leadership to entrust responsibility and accountability. I think today, generally, people measure growth as what is the designation that I carry. I think we need to flip it around. And I keep saying this to my people, that we don't promote you to the next grade because you are 3 years old in an earlier grade. We promote you to the next grade because you can share larger responsibility. Your skin in the game increases to that extent. Your commitment increases. So I think what the environment in L&T, and since I have worked for most part of my career in L&T, I can only relate and speak about L&T. In L&T, what I found is once there is a trust that gets built about your accountability to deliver, the responsibility comes on you like a deluge. And I think the environment is so trusting, so enabling. And if you are able to keep pace with that expectation and bend your back and deliver. And I think all of us join as professionals with no godfather in the system. There is nobody in the L&T system who actually speaks for the other. It is our work which speaks for itself. So it's very important to invest quality orientation to the work that we do. No work is small or big. I think all work have a place in that value chain. It's very important to understand our work in the context of what value it creates rather than just a task to be done. Once that orientation develops in us, I think we begin to see the larger picture and then move towards it. So I have benefited from the wisdom and the mistakes that I've got committed, the process slips that have happened. And I also many times I wonder the evolved regulations, whether they're a punishing schedule or there are an enabling schedule. I think the way regulations have evolved have also enabled us to conduct ourselves with greater responsibility. However demanding, exacting it is to comply with all these growing regulations, I think it has been very important to define the channel, and they act as guardrails. And I think L&T, both the leadership, the trust that we have all enjoyed, and the regulations and the orientation to be compliant. I think we normally tell ourselves that we don't want to be only the company that makes things that make India proud. We also want to be a company which is benchmarked for its governance, for its processes and practices. I think it should be a university for professionals to possibly spend time and learn. Some will pass through, some will stay back, but we hope over time our retention will justify the path we have chosen.